AI on AI. My name is Tebogo, aka Commander, aka Island, Mr. AI on AI. So one of the previous videos we did, we discussed the government's South African Artificial Intelligence National Plan, right? That document was released in 2023, right? If you haven't checked out the video, here's the link to the video. Where is it? Oh, there it is. There we go. Yeah, so please check it out. So now it's 2025. On the 23rd of January, we went to the Microsoft AI tour, where the government was there. So Microsoft and the government was just having a chat, right? So we attended that session. So it was hosted by Matshidiso Manaka and Lerato Mathabatha from Microsoft. Then from the government, we have Michael from SARS. Then we had Mr. Mandla Ngcobo from the Department of Public Service and Administration, and Phila and Ndarana, Mr. Phila and Ndarana from the Auditor-General, right? Yeah, so they were just discussing how to adapt AI in the government. Some departments like SARS have already started doing that. They discussed that, so please do listen. I urge you to listen to the last speaker, Mr. Phila Ndarana, where he touches about the fear of AI, but how his office is using it as a tool to augmentate the skill that they already have, right? And he also touches about having sleepless nights concerning cybersecurity. So please watch till the end. And yeah, so what was happening there? I could only get the audio, right? So there were breakout rooms. There was another breakout room this side and another one this side, right? So you could kind of hear what's going on the other side. But we tried our utmost best to clean the audio. I think it's very, very audible. So yeah, I'm just gonna play the audio. Please enjoy, listen, evaluate, and let's have a discussion in the comment section. Thank you so much. Dank u wel.
We posture ourselves in driving and fixing the challenges that government finds today, right? So if we look at about the top challenges that we as Microsoft have seen, and it's not just a Microsoft point of view, by the way, this is a global point of view of what government agencies are facing today in terms of the implementation of AI and what it is that they need to solve for. One of the critical things that we see is the citizen experience. Today, citizens are demanding, in fact, that they're one of the biggest influencers in what government is doing to try and give better services because citizens are truly demanding something of a better service from public sector. Most of us would love to interact with public sector from the comfort of our homes. Imagine if you went to Home Affairs and or you had a Home Affairs client portal where you could do a lot of the services or just sanction a lot of the services that are provided that's in that department from the comfort of your home, right? We're starting to seek out on these things. So this is one of the most important pillars that government is trying to solve for. But in trying to solve for the citizen-centric, experience, we know that there's a lot of technical elements that go into this. One, on top of it is the data management. Government will not provide some of the services that we're talking about if there is no digitization and innovation of the data platforms. And then of course the skilling and the employee retention with the government. Today, the reality is a lot of youth do not necessarily find, government an interesting place to want to work for. And it's simply because they're not providing the technology, they're not seeing innovative in a way that the youth would want to work in the future. So how do we help government to retain the skills that they have and also have harness skills for future employability so that within government, within the state, we have people that really can use technology to provide the citizen services that we are talking about. And of course, sovereignty. That's word. I can never say it right. I say it tongue, right? And so sovereignty. There were a lot of conversations with government around where does the data reside? What does it mean around the intelligence of where our data goes? Or if you think about what government sees as intelligence, I want to know where my data is. I want to protect it. I want to be able to know that nobody has access to the intelligence that I have as a South African government, right? So we're working with government to distill the issue around data security and sovereignty and so forth. And of course, overlaying all of this is the issue around cybersecurity and the resilience that government must build to provide the cybersecurity required from a user perspective to data to applications, everything that ends up interacting with all solutions. I think all of you, especially you know that our data is out there, right? Every time any system asks me for my ID, one of the things that I seek to do is to make sure that the system is actually quite secure and that my ID will not is not going to go into the ether somewhere and be compromised. We're helping government with the security, with such a security approach that builds the confidence around the systems that we are implementing in AI. I'm going to give it back to Dr. Ray going to take us through some more steps. Yeah, thank you so much, Lerato. Let's maybe talk a little bit about the overall impact in terms of trends. I generally like numbers a lot. And when I see numbers, I always try and think, what is it that you can do that we can do better? And if you look at at the 6 points on the slide in front of you, the one that I'd like to just start off with is unify the standard data operations. The purpose of any government is the ambitions and the goals of servicing the citizens. You look at the Department of Home Affairs, you look at the healthcare space, all of the objectives that are being set out is really on ensuring that at some point we will be able to have a centralized approach in terms of servicing citizens. We will have a unified approach in terms of the security that Lerato just touched on, data security and ensuring that that data is secure. The second part in terms of trends that we are finding, and this is of course based on the findings from the research and development team within Microsoft, is the aspect of migrating data. So the very first bullet on the far right, migrating data is top of mind for a lot of the entities. What we're seeing is that the on-premise environments that have served us very, very well are now at a point where we're not able to scale further and we're not able to get beyond the objectives that we have actually set out. If you look at the United Nations Development Goals, we've set out that we want to be equitable, we want to make it accessible, we want to provide services. So the migration of data becomes pretty key and a consideration for governments around the world, and not only governments, but entities within governments as well. The third part is another trend that we're seeing is building institutional resilience and safeguarding crucial systems. On this one, I'd really like to thank a lot of the South African government customers that have trusted Microsoft in believing in our security practice again, in knowing that we will be able to provide the resilience that they require in their operations. I'll move on to the next one, continue on the very same theme of trends. What are some of the breakthroughs? So 20,000 service help calls. You make a call today, even if it's to some of the banks. A lot of those engagements and interactions are enabled by AI. Already, we would have seen 2-3 years ago the chatbots that have been implemented. Those chatbots also based on AI to enable our experience and to have a seamless experience with those entities that we actually engage with. The last one that I want to just touch on is the one with law. Everybody will know that law requires a lot of reading. It's a lot of documentation that the councils have to go through. The case study in Brazil is one that centers on AI co-pilots. And it's a practical example to show that today we are using AI to make progress, to disseminate, to be able to synthesize the whole lot of data that lawyers and legal entities need to go through on a daily basis. The last one, still focusing on trends and maybe numbers again. That 75% number comes through again. It's regarding the knowledge workers. The knowledge workers is the day-to-day users that are working in various entities to enable the strategic objectives of those entities. You'll see on the next slide what we have found in terms of the output, some of the outputs of AI in terms of productivity, in terms of saving time. Personally, I've seen an improvement in my day-to-day work, not just on email, but even on presentations. Even this presentation that we're sharing with you, we leveraged our own technology to prepare better, to say, what are the key highlights that I'd like to share with our clients? What are the key things that they need to that they need to take away? 83% enjoy work more. Um, Look, I don't know how many of you enjoy doing your work, but because it's easier and because you have access to this data and you're able to complete your tasks a little bit swifter. Well, the stats and the research that's being conducted, 83% of the users are enjoying the work that they actually do. I'll now hand over to Lerato again to continue some of the strategic. Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. Ray. And I'm going to give very brief on this next piece because I really am looking forward to the meaningful conversation that you will have with our partner or that you will hear from our partner rather. But in terms of Microsoft's approach to AI, of assisting government to really think about AI and the next steps around AI implementation, I spoke about the pillars at the top, right, in terms of the citizen experiences, empowering government workforce, that's the skills part, and then of course all of this is to ensure that we are really helping government to change or to improve their operations. And a lot of AI brings with it automation of processes, right, or automation of work, which helps them to improve the government operations. And then, of course, securing the data and protecting resources. But some of the things that are critical to this piece that we really are working with government on is how we leaning into the use cases that deliver these outcomes, right? So we're working today with partners or actually whatever government entity to find the right use cases around personalized citizen experiences. Use cases, Dr. Ray already spoke about the chatbot or call center use cases. That was obvious, easy one. But how will we allow government to get to a self-service type of model using AI? From an employee productivity perspective, how do we help with so many of the processes that employees must work within government on and make sure that it's enhanced and it's easier for them. I'm going to talk about just the quick ones, audit and fraud detection, right? I mean, if we're talking about South African government and we don't talk about the corruption issues that sometimes we have to deal with or see in the news, we would not be here about what's happening in SA. But thinking of AI as an enabler in a government entity that helps with workflows that will detect fraud and will then audit some of these issues that we have is something that is very important, the very critical use case that we're seeing come up with a lot of our government entities. And then, of course, we know that government has legacy applications that are well loved, and the strategies that we're working with is helping not necessarily, shift everything that is on those legacy systems, but see what is meaningful for government to move to a more innovative, application or platform so that they can be more proactive and deliver quick and efficient way of working. And then, of course, cybersecurity and threat detection. I spoke about this earlier. Again, try to be very quick. So, what is government saying around where the spend on government and AI is going in the future? So, around the self-service use cases that we're seeing, there's a trend that shows that the applications around self-service are increasing, and this is where government is going to be spending or investing some of the resources towards AI development. And this again just emphasizes that we are seeing this trend. And if you are in a government agency and you have not started thinking around what are some of the applications that you're building internally, you are starting to lag behind because the trend is self-service going forward. And then one of the things that we do to assist, of course, is providing technology, but it has to be meaningful technology, right? Or technology that is quite helpful for government employees. When you look at our AI studio, this is developing tools that help government users with tools in their hands, low-code tools, AI-enabled tools for them to build the applications that are required to provide the self-service portal that I'm talking about and providing a very cool citizen experience that I mentioned. So we're also removing the clunkiness around development where before you need an entire team, an entire nation to be developing with you, but we're making it easier with the AI development tools. And of course, Microsoft Fabric, which is the data platform that we provide today to make seamless integration of data into these applications that we are talking about. And then of course, before and I must talk about Copilot. One of the keys, like the coolest thing that we've done is what we've done with generative AI and Copilot now. And Copilot is not just in the one product. Copilot is actually a brand. We have Copilot in security, Copilot in development, Copilot in your productivity tools, and it runs seamlessly across the your productivity tools to help government employees really do work easier, be more efficient, and deliver the experience that we're all hoping to get out of government. So if you have not started playing around with Copilot or the Copilot tools, I encourage you to really, there are actually some free ones online as well, to go online, find some of the Copilot, play around with and start seeing what efficiencies they bring for you, and start thinking about how you integrate them into your business to create the productivity that we're looking for. One thing that's very interesting with Copilot is previously when we look at the history of Microsoft's development is we brought up feature rich product, right? It's cool, it does this, it's got very standard and enterprise. But then we moved on to 2016, very standard and enterprise and then all of it. But now with Copilot, it's not anymore. It requires you to actually think about your work and what you want to use this full panel for. It's no longer a feature that Microsoft presses on you to use. You work with co-pilots to determine what you want out of it, and it's integrated with all the Microsoft technologies behind. So it actually is a new way of working, and I love that it requires your mind, your IP, your productivity as integration for it to bring out the value that it does. So I'm going to pause here and thank Dr. Ray for being with me on stage and move to the session that I actually have been looking forward to around conversations with government. And the aim here is to bring to you stories that will resonate with you. I know, sometimes we stand here, some of you that I've seen in the crowd have heard me say this spiel too many times, and we wanna bring it home. So we've brought some really meaningful public sector entities to talk to you and share with you the experience of implementing AI in the environment and what it has meant for them, and if at all they found it beneficial. So I'm going to ask Matshidiso and sit down through, she'll introduce a panel. Matshidiso is one of the sales directors in Microsoft South Africa. Because you can see, like, even the Discord, that's going on. Thank you so much. I'll see you later on. Good morning, everybody. As she has already said, Mama TD, and I'm comfortable with that calling Mama TD. And I am the sales director in Microsoft for the public sector. Just for 2 minutes of introductions in terms of where I've been, what I do, and how I feel about AI. So I've been in public sector for over 20 years now. Very excited to be on this journey. I was just looking at Lerato and Dr. Ray were talking about the statistics. It was in 2023 when they showed that in 2025, that 75% of people will be benefiting from AI. And it felt like it's still like years to come. And here we are today. And I am one of the beneficiaries of AI. At some stage, I was very sick. I was in a hospital. And, with the advancement in technology, it is amazing how at this moment I haven't been in the hospital. There was a time when I would leave the hospital every month because then each time I had to rely on going to the hospital to go find out what is happening. And with AI, I am able to determine what is the kind of food that I need to do to eat based on my level of nutrients in my body. So really amazing stuff that's happening with AI. So without taking much of the time about myself, if we can just breathe a little bit and just think about what we are grateful for today before I call my speakers to come and join me. I've got the experts and the expertise from our government departments. So I would like to call on them to please come and join me on stage. It looks like we're still missing Mapolova. And he probably will join us as we continue. So with me, thank you very much. So, with me, I've got Michael Lutz, and Michael is from the South African Revenue Services. I will go department to what Michael does and how our South African Revenue Services has been the leader in this AI technology. And next to Michael, we've got Phila Ndarana, and Phila is from the Auditor-General. Yesterday when we were getting a big page, Sheila, please, I must just be careful that I don't find myself introducing you as if you are the police to government. Sometimes the general comes across under the perception that they are the police. And recently, what I'm finding is that might help. Even with South African Revenue Services, people are starting to feel guilty to say that we are being policed here. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that there's a huge impact that we are benefiting from your department. So just a quick introduction once again from to talk about myself. And very excited to have you here. Very excited to have somebody that has walked the journey. Very excited to have somebody that has shared the pain. Very excited to hear somebody that's not talking about just the statistics, but it's stuff that we have for the past. So we're looking forward to hearing, and probably there are most of us here that have experienced, the taste of using that AI from SARS. And then we move to Landa here. It is very important that as we adopt the technology, it becomes very important that what are some of the things that we need to be cognizant of. So not talking about once again to being police, but I'm talking about being proactive and ensuring that some of the things that we need to comply to from a government point of view, we are doing that. So excited to tune in, and I'm gonna start with you, my leader. And every time when I think about South African Revenue Services and how from as a country, just we started with technology where like the data was and how important that was, and the frustrations that people used to have in terms of when we were doing that work, that was bringing you to the level where by 2025 we actually a leader globally. I'd like to ask you to share with the team. So just expanding what your role is and also just share with the rules that you guys and pass on some of the challenges that you have come across as you were implementing AI, some of the considerations because the human element is a very important part. So sometimes we focus on the cyber security, we focus our thinking on technology, and we forget about the human element. So I would really like us to touch on the journey that we had embarked on. And those challenges, those learnings that we had come across, but also considering what you as SARS have considered with your people. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Maxi. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share our journey and our story. I think from the SARS perspective, we have been investing in AI for quite a number of years before ChatGPT and I think we started some work focusing more on machine learning models to leverage the data that we have. We have a number of data sets you can imagine that come from financial institutions, taxpayers, and how we could actually use that to improve driving compliance. And we've done some work there in machine learning area, particularly in the airplane complexity, where we had a data complexity model that helped us to identify which taxpayers we actually needed to follow up with to make payments arrangements where we thought we would have the most success. And then about 2 years ago, OpenAI unleashed what we call ChatGPT, and I think it really made it available for everyone to actually start playing with a large language model and seeing what actually is possible. Um, and there was a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. But because also you had a chance to experience it, you could kind of also see what was real. And internally, we realized, okay, we need to see how this actually address some of the concerns and challenges that we were facing, particularly in the areas of taxpayer service at that time. So Microsoft had an alliance with OpenAI, and through our existing relationship, we were able to put together a proof of concept quite quickly that could show how a virtual AI system could operate on the SARS website. The first iteration, it was grounded in about two or three guides, PDF documents that you took on the website. So it wasn't, you know, couldn't really answer questions beyond customs, traveler, declarations, and so on. But it very much proved concepts. And I think we saw, okay, this is something that's worth exploring further. And it aligned very much to SARS's, what we call our SARS Vision 2024, which is to become the smart modern SARS that has unquestionable integrity and is trusted and admired. And to help us realize that particular vision, we had 9 strategic objectives, of which 3 I just wanted to touch on. Because we thought we don't, beyond just having a virtual AI system, we could use this technology to help us realize some of our other goals. So strategic objective 1 deals very much with providing taxpayers with clarity and certainty. And that really is about recognizing that the majority of taxpayers want to be compliant, but they need to know what is expected of them. They need to know how they complete certain of their obligations and what unique, and they're very, very clear to provide that assistance and education. Strategic objective 2 relates to that as well. We were saying, how can you make it easy for taxpayers to comply with these obligations? And so, looking at those strategic objectives, we realized that the AI assistant that we could make available would really go a long way to addressing that. We done a survey in 2022. Uh, People who engaged with the SARS website, and generally they were quite unsatisfied. They weren't finding the information that they were looking for. And when we engaged with them, the information was there, but it may have been buried in a particular policy or guide or document. So we realized, let's use ChatGPT to try and surface that information to the taxpayers. Our third strategic objective uh, deals with making it detecting non-compliance, making it hard and costly for those taxpayers that do not comply. And so what we wanted to do there was look at how we could use AI to improve our audit process. Now, when you do an audit on a taxpayer, it can range in complexity. Some of it can be incredibly detailed, especially on audit. But some of it is also quite simple. And those are large volume cases where they just need to verify particular information, certain deductions that are being claimed. And you get both structured data from a lot of third parties, but then we also sometimes ask taxpayers to provide us this supporting documentation. And then the auditors have to go through all of these supporting documents. Taxpayers are a little bit nervous, they don't want to not comply, they give us absolutely everything. So we're dealing with PDFs with hundreds and hundreds of pages of travel logbooks. I mean, they're struggling with absolutely everything. And you're trying to find, for example, time to use certificate in that. And you then want to compare it to information that's been declared, and realize this would be a very good use case for AI. The second part as well dealt with introducing biometrics into our taxpayer registration process and our e-filing registration process. And if we want to be able to secure taxpayers' data and their e-filing profiles and prevent them from getting those potentially hijacked by forces, we realized that using facial recognition to capture an image of the person in front of the mobile app or in front of the laptop, and compare that to our trusted sources such as Home Affairs, with some certainty we could then be sure that we are actually dealing with the particular individual that is registered for this service. So I think those three use cases really gave us a tasting of what the potential is, and it highlighted some challenges as well. Our first was, as you mentioned, data sovereignty, or Lerato mentioned, data sovereignty is important. And initially, all these entities were bringing out these AI models, LLM models that could access, but we needed something in the country to meet those particular requirements. And it was great that we worked with Microsoft to actually fast track that South Africa got identified as a site to get the necessary hardware deployed in Azure so that we could access Jets in South Africa. I think the other thing I wanted to raise is you still need to have your baseline data at a level of acceptable quality. So, for example, with our AI systems on the website, when we were testing it, we were giving answers, just giving answers that we thought, no, that's incorrect. But only to find that actually there was a document or press release from 7, 8, 9 years ago on the website somewhere that it was using to reference, and realized we needed to have a process to actually pick that up and correct it and be able to ensure that our AI initiatives are using the correct data sets. I think when you're doing very much working with cutting edge technology, you're also finding there's it challenges that brings. Part of that is the skills inside the organization to be able to support these new tools. I think we were very, very fortunate. We had an incredibly enthusiastic team. Obviously, working with AI technology is exciting, so you get a lot of enthusiasm from that aspect. But I think through partnering with Microsoft and with the way that Azure services are put together, there's no real mystery in the way these components are orchestrated or put together in a chain to deliver a particular service. So, as much as as much as Microsoft team may have developed some of them, the SARS team was quickly able to become familiar with, okay, right, you've used a cognitive search here. Here's the documentation available as to how that works. Here's how you engage with the and so on. So I think that really helped us through that partnership to develop some of those skills and address that shortcoming. And the last one I just want to mention is I think you need to have a level of experimentation. Um, Previously, when you do projects in the public sector, it's very easy to follow a waterfall approach. All your requirements down. You then say, right, I'm now going to develop that, test it, and implement it. When you experiment, things change along the way. And so you need to have an open mind to be able to say, right, the AI can't quite deliver it this way. It's not deterministic, it's probabilistic. It might put us a slightly different answer, but can we live with that? And I think with the maturity of a product owner seeing still delivering customer value, it's something. Thank you very much. I hope it gives you an overview. Love it. Thank you. So, SARS has been the pioneering adopters of AI, not only in South Africa but globally. So, it really is exciting every time when there is a mention of what are the countries that are adopting AI, and SARS become one of the ones that are pioneering. And thank you so much for sharing the journey with us, Ali. And I would like to go back to good morning and welcome. I do understand the challenges of getting sent very early in the morning. So I hope you are okay now. So just taking from what my students shared and also earlier on, Dr. Ray sharing just in terms of some of the things that are important as we work with adopting AI. And my colleague has also spoken about the issue of skilling. Skilling is on data. So meaning skilling data are some of the things that are very critical and important. And I think the one thing that he also touched on at the end is about the flexibility and the agility, because it is important that people are allowed to experience the technology, but you can only experience it if you have the skill. If you don't have the skill, what are you going to experience? So I'd like to find out from you, firstly, just a quick introduction of yourself, to the team, and then also just to answer
Thanks very much, morning colleagues. Speaking to you is Ngcobo, now this local to PSA. Very interesting, and I think I like what the market said today. So obviously, from a maturity perspective, for instance, I know that he has spoken about the issue of things. I think I want to stress the extent to which they are basic and fundamental and low in the public service. So it's very important that we kind of start to them. I don't want to repeat the skinny, but also the entire, I think as a base, the entire change management, public service basically is a bureaucratic environment. As a result, it becomes important that you kind of engage with people step by step so that they understand the benefits associated with adopting AI. So the issue around change management, we tend to be more comfortable with what they've been doing for all over the years. Most of given some of the ethical dynamics that are associated with adopting AI. It's one of the reasons why the change management is important, but also the impact of the nature of jobs. Public service, most of the tasks there of jobs are full of tasks that are manual, that are repetitive. I mean, the better is this we call it to say. If people are still looking in TPSA, the National Treasury, the COPTA, the DPME, they've got these regulatory requirements to government departments. And those requirements are kind of supported by a lot of manual tasks. Now, it becomes important that the tasks supporting those requirements, they be known, because if you want to adopt and raise AI, you want to start where it is going to be seen as supporting people at the work, bring about the efficiency and take away the mundane, routine, and manual activities. So I'm saying is things that now, that's one of the challenges earlier, that changing people that people are able to adopt and understand that most of their manual activities can be replaced or augmented with AI. But secondly, access to knowledge, it's a chicken and egg situation in terms of skills and access. I'll speak to some of the colleagues of Microsoft say, for quite some time, I can't beg this issue around the acceptance in the office, but I really want to test the extent which technology can go in terms of augmenting whatever actually that system. If you look at some of the rules, for instance, and not being kind of feel like disrespectful, being down in the area. The personal assistant. You want to know your activities today, what you do today, if you create a discussion, some discussion, and those things are good. And I understand that you can be able to augment yourself or be able to perform most of those people. But the issue is around access. How then do you access to it? Because this is when we experiment to have an access stage. Then we can start advising. So in line, they need to use service. In line, they need to ensure that it's efficient in the public service. That's the issue. So the other issue for it. So it's change management. It's impact on network jobs in the mainstream things would not be very keen. But also funding is a very important reality for government. You would have heard and would have seen, in my one, the son, the George is a 2018, where you're sitting at about probably, the team, people will now probably have a yeah. And then the issue is, there's no funding, there's no money, and fund. So being able to have balance that you say, how are you going to ensure the efficiency you are going to bring, actually also make up for the need to feel some of the some such trade off, but also being able to engage in the right level to get people to buy into yeah, building. So maybe those are some of the challenges behind the facing. And the skills, of course, that I'm talking about. It remains an issue for us. Yes, there are initiatives that are having embarking on various players. In one of the initiatives, one of those players, where we're trying to bring up skills in the public service around the AI also and trying to what also about so but having said all of the challenges I do want to emphasize the fact that for the little bit exposed to it seems like there is an opportunity that when adopted correctly, when used correctly, and a lot of issues, particularly the dilemmas that are set by AI, are kind of taken care of. There is great opportunity of not necessarily replacing people, but actually like the work that they do is made much more efficient through adopting AI.
Wow. You have said a lot of things, and sometimes I think we find ourselves being consumed by looking at only the challenges and not being able to think about when we're challenging how to do around the challenges. That's the thing that for me. And the second part is around the issue that you always listen to that AI is going to take away those jobs. And what I'm hearing you say is that AI is going to augment and it's also going to take over the mundane jobs that we actually have to do every day and it take a lot of our time instead of you focusing on the things that are critically important. When we talk about the budget as well, it is important that when similar to what you do in your own home, you don't say that when I don't have my food, I'm not gonna eat. Then all you need to do is you just need to check things out and focus your budget on the things that are key to customers. That being said, please just introduce yourself and also just after introducing yourself, the Auditor-General plays a very crucial role in promoting governance and the trust by the citizens. And as we have just said, when we talk about AI taking jobs from people, it also goes back to the issue of as we continue to implement these technologies, are we really leaving the people to trust that government is doing the right things as they embark on this technology? And also just thinking about the technology itself, we've got data, we've got security, we've got the human element once again, which goes into the ethics in terms of how we adopt this technology. If you could please just share with the here how Auditor General is going about. What are some of the steps that you've done? There's already a lot of items that you have attracted. You are on the journey as well. So if you could please just share with the audience with
No, thank you very much. Am I audible? Sounds like I am. Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. Very nice to be here. I think it's a beautiful event that Microsoft has put together. Thank you very much for that. And important to us as well. So maybe where to start? Since you said as the Auditor General, you need to be careful that you don't see us as police. We are not policemen in England. In fact, our strategy is very clear. We've got a very beautiful strategy as the National Audit Office. We say we want to shift public sector culture by 2030 to such an extent that the lived experiences of our people change. So it's not about auditing only. It's about auditing for an end in mind. And that end in mind is that our lived experiences as South Africans change. We usually say in the office, it's no longer about the debits and credits. It's about how we change our own lives and how our lived experiences. So it's quite important to position that. We are not policemen, we are partners in ensuring that we have better lived experience. Maybe today we can start with the challenges around it. And I agree with my colleagues here. These challenges are real and we have to be alive to it. One of them that I was thinking about is the fear factor. As Mandla said, there is real fear. You talk to colleagues, you talk to people in general, there is real fear that AI is going to replace us instead of augmenting us. The way we look at it in the office, it's not a replacement of the skill set, but an augmentation. It's like an addition to the workforce. And I think that tends to help with the fear factor a little bit. So it's important to look at. The other fear factor is it safe? And which is a real thing as well. Is it safe? I mean, there are countless examples. I think colleagues would explain maybe a case that happened. It was reported last week in the legal fraternity where a lawyer was quoting cases that don't exist because of the hallucination of AI. So there is that thing to say, is it really safe? And I say it's important that we don't assume that AI is going to replace us or we abdicate our responsibility for what we are supposed to. So yes, we use AI as an augmentation of the workforce, but we still have the responsibility to ensure that what goes out there, it's ours. So we can't abdicate that responsibility. And around the fear factor, I've got our CFO here who's come to support because he's part of the movement around technology. In fact, he should have been the CTO, not I. So it's very important that when we implement these things, we've got partners in the business. When him and I discuss, it's usually he will say to me, CTO, I've got use cases for AI. Can you please try these things out? It's not me that goes to him and says, CFO, do you think we've got use cases that you can use? He who comes to me and says, they've got these use cases. So that partnership between the business and IT becomes extremely important. The other one is what I've seen is people say, is it a passing fad? Is it a flash in the pan? Is it something that happened last year and the year before? And by 2025, it's going to be over. There's an article that came out yesterday. Those of us, some of us maybe will have seen it, around, it was announced by President Trump, 500 billion rands, $500 billion, I wish it was rands, $500 billion being invested in AI in a program that they call Startup. So that tells you that it's not a passing fad. It's actually here. And it is that's important for all of us to engage with it and accept and move with the times. In fact, if you look at what SARS has done, you can actually see that it is here and it is here to stay. And then cost is a big thing. I'm not talking about cost just because my CFO is here. It really is a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not cheap. Therefore, it is important that we develop and apply our minds in terms of the efficiencies that we want to get out of AI implementations. It's got to be conscious. We can't just hope, we can't just implement and hope. We've got to manage it and manage it diligently to ensure that it is that there's benefit that we derive out of it. So, Sidi, you spoke about security. I believe over and above wars, over and above diseases like COVID, I think cybersecurity is an existential threat. It's one of those words that I can't pronounce as well. It's an existential threat, and I think we've got to be alive to it at all times. I think if you were to ask me at 2 o'clock in the morning, if I'm sleeping and you wake me up, and saying what is topmost in your mind, I will tell you that it is cybersecurity. And when I do that, I will probably be breaking into a sweat as well, because it really scares the living daylights out of me. Because it's something that I know that will happen to all of us. It's just a matter of time. Now it is to say, we want to implement AI. How do we do it in a way that is responsible, that we don't expose our organizations, but also how do we use AI to build the resilience that we want to build in our organizations? And I think that is absolutely critical and very important. And all of this, I would overlay not just with the change management that Mandla was talking about, but with skills development. I was chatting to young people here earlier on before we went up on stage, and you can see that they've adopted this movement just like it. And they tell me that their role is to help executives like ourselves say how to implement AI in your organization. So that's quite amazing. Maybe a round of applause for the young people that So that shows us that skills are there, skills are growing. Now, that means those of us who are kind of like dinosaurs in the IT space, how do we catch up and catch up very quickly? And that is, it's got to be deliberate. We've got to be deliberate around skills development. We've got to be deliberate around building communities of practice to help each other learn, work hand in hand with everybody that is in the organization, and also not to be fearful to learn from those that have walked the path before us. It's very important, I believe. I think there are certain things that we can compete on as people and as organizations, but you can't compete on cybersecurity. We can't compete on implementation on the implementation of technology for the betterment of our lives and the betterment of the lives of the rest of South Africans and citizens.
Thank you so much. I would have loved to have parting shots from each one of you, but I think we're pressed with time just for the keynote, and we'll be hearing from the leaders like SARS and our leaders from Microsoft. So I'd really like to say a word of gratitude to each one of you. Lerato, I don't when I came in here, but I think I want to commit that I think this topic is a topic that we really need to make time. It's not something that we can talk about in 5 minutes, especially if we talk about AI in government. So they're like looking forward to another session, maximum a month from today. I'm not feeling under pressure, but I think we need it because we do want to also engage and make sure that everybody has gotten the time to ask questions, to learn from each other. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Lerato, thank you so much. And Dr. Ray, thank you very much. Thank you to the colleagues. Lerato, over to you. Thank you so much. I had goosebumps just listening because I think the story really is told better by public sector entities that have embarked on this, and you all had such great salient points to leave with everybody in the room. Thank you for your time, and thank you for so just in conclusion, and I think you've all heard the music already telling us we should be shifting. I'm going to move to the very last slide. I'm going to take long. We've also skills has come across from everybody that spoke today. QR codes. Please take out your phone. Take those QR codes that are going to give you access to skill sets. The skill sets are a co-pilot, the productivity tool, the security came up a lot. So skill sets are on co-pilot for security and all the other supporting, elements that you spoke about. There's a lot of training, free training. We don't say that word a lot. That is accessible to every one of us in this room. So use those links, go empower yourselves and understand better what it is that you can do with the AI technology that is out in the market. So thank you very much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you in the keynote event with our leaders, because there we're also talking about what government is doing with AI. And I get excited that when we're talking about flagship institutions that are using AI today, it is in government. So, I mean, they're really charging the path for us and indicating that government can be a game changer. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
Memories from the future. This territory I'm